okay, so this is going to be firstly probably okay, this is going to be the story time of how we actually bought our place. So what happened was, so I've been kind of looking, kind of not really expecting to find anything, but you know, also keeping an eye out, because it just made sense, like the amount of rent I was paying and all of those kinds of things. So it just did make sense to find a place. But also, if you know me, you know that like I don't like spending a lot of money. So as much as I liked the idea of finding a place and buying a place, I was not necessarily comfortable with spending a lot of money, if that makes sense. It was a good idea in theory, but practically couldn't see myself like investing in that like long-term commitment kind of thing. So I'd been kind of looking with a colleague of mine, and like she would see a place because she was also looking, and I was kind of looking, and like, you know, just like, oh, what are we gonna do this weekend? Oh, let's go look at places, you know, because we are boring like that. And then when Babe came, we also continued the search, and we were looking and not looking, and then we came to see this place. And as you guys saw in the entry and sort of in the process of this, it was completely like there was no kitchen when we came to see it and stuff like that. But for some reason, I really liked it. But Babe was like, this is the one. I was like, here? He's like, this is the one. I was like, huh? He's like, this is the one. And I'm like, if you think I'm frugal, he's even more frugal. So for him to like to commit to it, like in that we were still in the flat, we were still in the unit, and he was like, this is the one. So it definitely did turn out to be more surprising, and we have bought it you know, with sort of imagination of what it will look like rather than what it actually looks like. And it looks really, we both super excited. It took me a long time to get excited, as you guys know. I'm not one to, you know, but then we did the application process, and then we did the you know, bank agreed to the loan, and then now we are sort of in the process of doing the transfers of the property from the previous owners to the new owners. And so I'm not sure if when by the time you see this video, if that is going to be out already, and if it's going to be completed, or if it won't be completed. If it is completed, I'll put like a little thing here just to let you know that the property has been transferred. In terms of the buying process, it was actually a lot easier than I actually expected it to be. I thought it was going to be the most difficult thing, and it was going to be like but actually it has turned out to be really simple and straightforward. So how it worked was, one of the first things I did, and this is something that I would suggest to you guys, is I know a lot of people say go get pre-approval and go check with banks and things like that. I don't know about other people, but I personally I'm not good with rejection, so I wasn't like gonna go ask a bank and then the bank says no. I needed to at least have a good idea if like I have a running chance, you know, like is there a running chance of, you know, or is this thing completely out of my space. So honey boo boo Han Ban Boo Thang Jimmy Bay was like, check your credit score. And you check your credit score, there's different places where you can check your credit score. I've used TransUnion in the past, but also one that is actually really fast and very like on the tips of your hands is Clear Score. You go online, you put in like, I can't remember if you sign in and get like an account, but it's free. It's like, it's free. There's no anything. It's like, you know, and then you sign in and then you put in your name and your ID number, and it pulls through information from, I think, 12 years ago. So it'll literally pull through everything from 12 years ago, every single account you've had, if whether you've opened a bank account. I'm not even talking about like clothing accounts or things like that, like bank accounts you've had, any loans you've had, any credit cards you've had, any current or previous credit cards, any it pulls through everything. And then on there it also tells you what your credit score is. It will tell you whether you have a low score, a medium score, a high score, a good score, a good score, a very good score, or an excellent score. So all that information is on there. So going from there, you can take that as a sort of like pre-approval thing of, okay, like my score is good, my credit rating is good, which means that there's a higher likelihood of banks accepting me. So once that was done, I was a little bit more confident in terms of going, okay, then potentially like this is a possibility, and that we can actually apply for this loan, and that, you know, we can go forward. So that was the thing, because me, I don't want to be rejected there in front of the peoples. I don't want to be you know, and then when you're like, card declined. No, I don't want. So I needed to go into the banks knowing that sharp, right? And then so that's what happened. And I also suggest this thing because before you go, the first thing that banks are going to do also is they're going to check out your credit score before they actually even start processing the actual application. They're first going to see if you're eligible for a loan to begin with. So this is a step that actually you can do on your own and then be sure about, and then go to the banks, or it's a step that you can leave to the banks and then be surprised. It's up to you, you know. Anyway, so the buying process itself was actually really easy. Once we sent an email to the estate agent saying that we are interested in the place, the estate agent then gave us the option of one, using a broker. I think they're called brokering agents, I don't know exactly, or giving us the option of us going to the banks ourselves. Now, brokering agents are basically the hippo.com of house loans, of home loans. They will ask the banks on your behalf, all of the banks. They'll approach all of the banks for the loan, and then basically facilitates that entire process. So we went to the broker, and we didn't do the bank thing ourselves. It was just a lot easier to have one person go to all the banks, and also because, I mean, it was just a lot more efficient and effective. They don't cost anything, they don't charge anything. I think their cost is built into, probably, I think they get their cost from the bank side. I'm not sure exactly how they get paid, but they do it for free. So we went with a broker agent, and that was called Ooba, OOBA, and they did everything. So they approached, so first they also did that pre-approval thing step also with us. So they sent in forms for us to complete, and in the forms you basically say how much you earn, what you spend money on, like health insurance, groceries, like what's your monthly like expenditure. Also, if you have life insurance, disability insurance, if you pay UIF, they ask all of those things. They ask for 3-month bank statements, they ask for 3-month pay slips, and they ask for proof of address plus the form that you need to fill in. So you fill that out, then they send that out then they come back to you and they tell you whether you're eligible for a loan, which is the same thing that ClearScore gives you. And actually the information that it pulled through was the same kind of information. Once they have that eligibility, or they also call it a pre-approval, but it's not necessarily a pre-approval, it's a document that says that actually you can apply for a loan and that there's a likelihood of you getting it. Once you have that pre-approval, also comes from the different banks, because they send that information out, and then the banks say, okay, in theory we would give this person a loan. Once they have that, they then say, okay, you've now been pre-approved. And then once you have that pre-approval, your estate agent is going to call you and say, can you come in and put in an offer to purchase? That offer to purchase, to say, is now the document that tells them to stop advertising this property and to basically put this property up as sold. So then you sign that, and then also the seller also signs that, and then that offer then goes back, and then they take that offer, the Uber people take that offer to purchase, and then they approach the banks with that offer, and that's when the actual loan is actually processed. And then you get from the banks come back to you and they say to you, we approve your loan, we're going to give you a loan of so much at such and such interest rate. There's other information there, but the two main things is how much the bank is loaning you and at what interest rate. Now it's also like, do they give you a full 100% loan, or do you need to put down a deposit and all of those things? We got 100% loan, so there was no deposit required. What we do have to pay upfront though is transfer costs, and those is basically the cost that it takes to transfer the property from one owner's name to the other owner's name. So that's a separate cost that has to be paid, and obviously there's now the cost of all the renovations that are happening, and then but we didn't have to pay a deposit, which is fantastic. Anyway, so then once you get those offers from the banks, you can either accept those offers, because all the banks will come with a different maybe loan amount and with maybe different conditions, or you can actually go back and renegotiate the loan. So what happened with us was, we got the offer. I think the only bank that didn't respond was Nedbank, but all the other banks responded. And then my bank, the bank that I bank with, came in like middle. So one of the banks came in low, the bank that I bank with came into the middle, and then one of the other banks came in high. So then I called the Uber lady and I said to her, please can you go and negotiate with the bank that I bank with and ask them if they can match this lower number that came through. So she went, she negotiated, and yes indeed they did match that. But for some reason I was angry at my bank for not actually just being like proactive and considering me as an existing customer and just offering me the lower amount, like a tip-top rate to begin with. Anyway, so I was mad at my bank for not offering, so I actually ended up going with the bank that had given me the initial lower amount, even though when my bank renegotiated, they ended up giving me a lower amount than the previous lower amount. But I ended up still going with the bank that had given me this. And the reason why was because I was just like, they came in proactively, they came in with like good ratings, so I'd rather trust them because they've already shown good relationing or something like that. So actually I ended up going with a slightly higher amount just because I just liked the way that the other bank did it. And then I don't know how my bank found out about this, and then they were like, yeah. I was like, yes. They're like, listen. I was like, I'm listening. They're like, listen. I'm like, yes, I'm listening. You got my attention. They're like, look, let's renegotiate. Okay, let's renegotiate. We know we came in high, but let's try and do something. Let's try. Give us a chance. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you guys another chance. Chance number 3 now. Okay, don't let me down. They were like, no girl, we won't. I was like, listen here, don't let me down, otherwise I'm gonna come out in these streets, and I'm going like, and then they were like, okay. So then they came back, and they came back with an even lower offer. So I eventually picked my bank's offer because that came back even lower. All of them were changing interest rates, so that was nothing that stood out. So we are now currently at the point where I have accepted the offer with the bank. They have told the lawyers that they will definitely be financing the purchase, and now the lawyers are working towards processing the transaction from one owner to the other. The lawyers who are handling the transfer costs were chosen by, I think they're chosen by the purchaser. I don't know if the purchaser went with lawyers that the estate agency uses, or they went with lawyers that the Uber property people use. I don't know how they chose the transfer fee lawyers, but they were pre-chosen. I didn't have a choice over that. So yeah, that is how we got to buying a house. It was completely unexpected. I didn't think that we would be buying a house like now. Yes, I was going house hunting, but literally I was going house hunting for properties that were above my scale, below my scale. I just knew what I was looking for, and basically the reason why I went property hunting was to see what I wanted and what I liked, and then to be able to so that when I finally do decide to start looking for places, or when we start looking for places, we already know what we are looking for, and we're very clear about what's available out there and what's not available, and you know, pricing and things like that. So give yourself time when you're looking for property. It's not a, like, it shouldn't be a rush. Give yourself time, see what the market is like, see what people are charging around in the areas that you're interested in, see how, go to places even if you don't like the place, it doesn't look so great, but if it's in the area that you want, go and see, so that you can see how the pricing is working, and the sort of like what is included at certain prices that is not included in other prices and things like that, so you just get comfortable. And my other tip is have top 3 things that you cannot live without, like top 3 things that are must for every priority. Because the thing is, you see so many properties, and then you start going, oh, but it had this, oh, but it had that, oh, but it had this, oh, and then you start getting confused. But actually, if you have your top 3 things, it's so much easier for you to just look at a property and say, no, not this one, not this one, not this one. And then once it has those top 3 things, then you're like, okay, then maybe let's say you start off with 10 properties, and then 5 of those properties don't have the top 3 things and 5 do. Then you say, okay, out of these 5, which ones had the top 3 things but also had now the secondary things that I like, you know, like, you know, and then it helps you sort of like break it down if you do it like that. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this our home buying process talk, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye Gapsters. If you have any questions on the home buying process, or any questions about this video or about our home and anything else, please put it down in the comment section below. I'm quite interested to see what other questions, maybe I missed something. And don't forget to subscribe.